Get to it fast. Right here on the Anycast. Make it strong, make it last. Right here on the Anycast.
So, without further ado, I am here with the man, the one and only New Hampshire tech guru, Tom Daly. How the hell are you?
Hey, Matt. How you doing? Very, very good, sir.
I'm well. Well, first of all, thanks for being here, wherever here virtually is in the cloud. For those who don't know you, can you give me the backstory and who you are, how we got here?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. So my name's Tom Daly. I'm sitting in Nashua, New Hampshire. Been a long time New Hampshire resident, born and raised here. In the late 90s, I had a friend whose parents were running a, what we would call today a managed service provider, right? A PC shop, and they were, performing services for local IT services for local businesses. And this guy told me one day about, what it takes to build a dial-up ISP. And I got really interested in what he had to tell me. And I was like in high school at the time, and I said, I'm going to go figure out how to get a job at an ISP because I think this is really cool. Like being online is very cool to begin with. I already had like some like AOL dial-up account or something like that. I think I started with AOL. And I'm like, well, what does it take to build an ISP? And, as 14, 15-year-old kids started putting together a resume and like put it out to a couple local ISPs. And really none of them called me back except for one. It was this guy, his name is Gent Cab. He's still in the business today. And at the time he ran Metro2000 Internet Services. And he was like, yeah, come check it out, right? Like come see our ISP. And I remember being so excited to go see what this ISP was all about because they had a T1 line.
Ooh.
And I was like, Gent, show me the T1 line. I can't wait to see this thing, right? And he points to a piece of plywood on the wall, and there's a little RJ48X jack. And he's like, well, that's what it is. And it was like the biggest letdown in the world. Like I was expecting some fat cable on the wall. But anyways, got the start in the industry working dial-up technical support for a local internet service provider. Gent was a fantastic mentor. And I learned a lot about network design, network engineering, various protocols, very, very hands-on learning experience, and went off to university and met up with the founder of Dyn DNS.org, a gentleman by the name of Tim Wild, and decided that I wanted to do something a little bit bigger than the ISP and jumped over to Dyn DNS.org in the same role, technical support.
Mm-hmm.
And, there really just processed a lot of tickets every day for a while until one day I got really frustrated with our web app and realized that our web app was just running users into like a dead wall every time they click through a certain, sequence and flow in the app, and couldn't get developer time to pay attention to it. So I was like, well, this is like Perl and HTML Mason. I had taken a couple programming classes in high school. Like I can figure this out, and just started writing some code and got a little incrementally better and better and better at it. And eventually became, after about 5 years, became the chief technology officer at Dyn. And that was at a phase where, we were building the business and we were deciding what we were going to do with Dyn DNS. And we decided to go up market away, keep our consumer business, but we also wanted to have something that was relevant to businesses and enterprises. And that's when we built out the DynECT Managed DNS platform. It was our first foray into the world of Anycast IPv4 networking. And, took on the role of like chief architect and CTO for the DynECT network. Speeding forward one more time, had a really challenging customer at DynECT called Artur Bergman. Where
hard to believe Artur would be challenging.
Yeah, right. Artur's the type of customer that you love and hate at the same time, right? You love him because he challenges you, and you hate him because he challenges you at, 5:30 p.m. on a Friday when you're trying to have like a date out with your girlfriend at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually moved over to Fastly and came in as VP of infrastructure there and was responsible for building out the global network at Fastly. In my role, we built that to about 75 points of presence around the globe. 75, I think 76, the scoreboard was connected internet exchange points and about 100 terabit per second of connected edge capacity at the time. And, that's since expanded exponentially from there. The thing, at Fastly that we were all pretty excited about is we figured out a way to do networking that didn't require us to go buy big iron routers and big iron load balancers, which, in the CDN industry is, a huge advantage from a capital expenditures standpoint. So that was sort of like the learning grounds. And then a couple of years back, got involved with the folks at Big Network and decided to take really sort of the learnings of 20 years and put it into a new venture. And Big Network is in the business of building software that helps tier 2 and tier 3 ISPs deliver resilient connectivity solutions to their business class customers. So we have a suite of networking software that helps deliver very, very resilient internet access out to the edge of the internet, which in our opinion has, traditionally been kind of ignored by the software and hardware sectors.
Do you think it like New Hampshire was not a hub of technology things, at least compared to a Silicon Valley or New York or today's Austin and all the sort of startup-y places? Did that help or hurt Dyn? And for you growing up, did that help or hurt you as like computer geek?
I have seen it through both lenses, right? I mean, we had an early consultant at Dyn who came in and sat down with our leadership team and saw what we were doing. And he had just gotten off of a large assignment at Yahoo out in Sunnyvale and came and sat in our Manchester, New Hampshire office and was like, why are you here? Like, you should be dead. Like, you should be dried up grass. Like, I don't understand how you're doing this from here. But, let's go back and let's look at, innovation in the internet. Well, okay, where was BBN? Right? The folks who built the IMP. It is literally an hour away from Manchester.
Yeah.
If you look at Cabletron Systems, one of the big first networking players, I mean, they ultimately lost to Cisco, right? But where was Cabletron headquartered? Rochester, New Hampshire, right? If you look at, Digital Equipment Corporation, who came out with the Alpha processor, which was just sunset, I think last year, right? One of the world's first 32-bit CPUs, Marlborough, Massachusetts. Marlborough is an hour and a half away. So I don't think of this so much as a access and availability problem. It was very much more a marketing and branding problem. We just didn't, this area never sort of put that. There was never the Silicon Valley stamp of the East on Greater New England. So no, I mean, yes and no, right? Like, to have a successful business, you need good marketing and good branding. There's no doubt about it. Sales doesn't happen without it. I mean,
what was it like to watch something that you were a part of being swallowed up by something like Oracle?
I think that there's a natural life cycle to companies that occur, right? I had a prof in graduate school that was like, companies have life cycles, and they have different approaches to things, and a lot of times in technology, you either grow or die, right? And I think we've all heard that phrase before, grow or die. I think that Oracle swallowing up Dyn the way it did was like the next step in growing or dying. People would ask me questions like, well, someone is coming along and taking your baby, right? And maybe 20-year-old Tom would have like a very different emotional reaction to that. I have 2 kids at this point. And so like, that just means something viscerally, fundamentally very different to me, of like having your baby taken from you. And I know what I would do for my kids.
Right.
And at least in my worldview, a company is just a very different thing than my kids are. So don't get me wrong, it's very important to me. When I do hear the stories from friends and former customers that, hey, Oracle killed off DynECT and, there isn't another thing like it. I deeply sympathize and empathize with that as a former DynECT, customer in my last role.
Yeah.
It saddens me that this service that, is awesome. It's an awesome DNS platform, doesn't exist anymore. But it's not my baby. And there is a certain life cycle of a company. And, when you get to a certain size and scale, you do grow or die.
And this both grew and died.
Well, you could say it died. I mean, that's one way to think of it.
Yeah.
But being able to be behind the curtain a little bit, like I know that in 2024, there is code running that I wrote, a very little bit of it, but that the developers that I worked with to build DynECT platform in a piece of software called Tutor that is still running inside Oracle today. It's just supporting the OCI cloud business and no longer a publicly available authoritative DNS provider. So I don't know that it died. Maybe it died and reincarnated.
There you go. Awesome. All right. Well, on that note, I'm going to wrap it up. Tom, thank you.
Thanks, Matt. It was great chatting with you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This is different, another round, so much more to talk about. Gonna aim to satisfy with help from CashFly. Get to it fast. Right here on the AnyCast. Make it strong, make it last. Right here on the AnyCast. The AnyCast podcast, brought to you by CashFly.